Day 5. How do I provide? The provider's path. Securing prosperity and influence. Have you ever stood at the end of a long day, holding the tools of your trade, looking at the fruit of all your labor and asked, am I doing enough? As a man, society often places on you the mantle of provider, a mantle that extends far beyond merely providing for yourself. It wraps around your family, your community, and even extends to the broader societal expectations. Sometimes the weight of these expectations can feel immense, leaving you in a state of bewilderment and self-doubt. But it's important to remember that the call to provision is not just about meeting immediate needs. It's about stepping into a role that allows for an atmosphere of abundance, growth, and influence to flourish. The story of Joseph in the Bible is a poignant example of this. Joseph was no stranger to adversity. Betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and eventually imprisoned, he could have resigned himself to a life of hardship. But Joseph held steadfast to his abilities and faith. When he was elevated to the position of Prime Minister of Egypt, he found himself with the power to provide, not just for himself, but for an entire nation. Using his foresight, wisdom, and leadership, he not only predicted a devastating 7-year famine, but also put measures in place to provide for it, effectively safeguarding the prosperity of Egypt. His role as a provider was no longer just about himself. It became about the survival and thriving of his society, and a legacy of provision lasted well beyond his own lifetime. As a man, in your role as a provider, it's crucial to remember that your capacity for provision goes beyond financial aspects. Money, while important, is just one facet of provision. Your talents, your wisdom, your values, and your influence are equally important resources. They can be channeled to shape the world around you, create opportunities, and make a difference. The role of provider, especially as a man, underscores a profound concept of stewardship. This responsibility involves not just maintaining what you've been given, but multiplying it for the benefit of others. It's about creating an atmosphere of prosperity that enriches not just your life, but those around you. Some questions to sit with. How do you perceive your role as a provider, particularly as a man? Does it extend beyond the financial aspect? Think about the different ways you can provide for your family, your community, and society. Reflect on the various resources you possess: your physical strength, your intellect, your emotional resilience, your spiritual faith. How can you multiply these resources and use them for maximum impact? Can these resources shape the way you provide for others? Think back to an instance where you used your ability or influence to affect positive change. What did that experience teach you about providing? Did it reshape or reinforce your understanding of provision? How does your faith shape your approach towards providing and stewardship? Do your spiritual beliefs influence how you view your role as a provider? What practical steps can you implement to amplify your role as a provider? Think about how you can influence your personal life, your family, and your community through your actions. Being a provider is a call to action, a call to generosity, a call to wise stewardship. It's about identifying opportunities and stepping up to make a lasting impact. As a man, you might feel the weight of societal expectations, but remember, it's not about the pressure, it's about realizing your potential. Keep asking yourself, how do I provide? The journey of finding that answer is as transformative as the answer itself. Supplemental Bible verses. Corinthians 9:7. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. 1 Timothy 5:8. But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for the members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Proverbs 13:22. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. Luke 12:42 through 44. The Lord answered, "Who then is a faithful and wise manager, whom the master puts in charge of his servants to give them the food allowance at the proper time? It would be good for that servant whom the master finds is doing so when he returns. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions." Matthew 7:9 through 11. Which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for fish, will give him a snake? If you, then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him?